Everybody, this is Priscilla Hole and this is the Capricorn full moon for 2018. Today is the 28th of June here in Australia, and I dare say it'll be happening in the 27th or the 27th of June in other parts of the world. So Capricorn full moon is all about the energy of Saturn. And Saturn is structure and organization and actually discipline as well, which I've noticed within myself. And Capricorns are also well known for empire building. So this energy is about shining the light on where you have structure in your world or where you don't have structure in your world. And also too, if you want structure, what kind of discipline do you need to put in place to create the structure that gives you flow? It's one of the things that can be most challenging for a lot of people, and certainly for myself personally. I have discipline as one of my personal challenges, and so this time is quite interesting. It's really showing me, or going to highlight for me, maybe some ways that I don't put structure in place, which means that my natural discipline is really wobbly, and then the flow and the freedom that I'm looking for to do things just isn't really in place. And so this is what I personally need to work with. So what we also can be looking at too at this particular time is the fact that the moon is, the sun is actually technically in Cancer. So the energy of Cancer is about home and about foundations. So yeah, where have we got structure in our home? Where do we not have structure in our home? What needs to possibly be put in place to help us create that safety that the home provides? So it's an interesting correlation between Capricorn and Cancer at the moment. So we have one guest here today. Her name is Fee, and I'll draw a card for the collective now, and then we'll do one for Fee. And if anybody else joins the call, fantastic. If not, then it'll be one for me as well, and we'll do a total of probably 3 cards. Let's see how we go today. So the first card for the collective that I'm getting, right, okay, it's called Guilt. Now, this is a really interesting card. So it's an interesting one in terms of, I feel like it's one that can easily take us out, something that we all know and understand, because it's very easy to see where other people make us feel guilty for something that we may or may not have actually done. But because we're not doing it by their standards or by their rules, we're possibly unconsciously falling into what they want and feeling bad within ourselves for not doing or behaving in the way that they would like to see us behave to keep their safety in place. So if we're starting to feel guilty about anything, we really need to have a good look at what is it that we're feeling guilty about. And actually, if it's someone else who's creating the guilt that we are then internalizing and running an old story from, then we need to have a good look at where the old story came from and why that external trigger has actually found its way into me or you, and what part of me has been holding this old story for so long. So we just had a new person join us, Charlie. Yay! Hey, Charlie, how you doing? Just don't reply. I can see you waving at me. That's really cool. So this card here is a really good opportunity to have a good look at if some people in your world are, wanting you to behave in certain ways and then triggering your story about why you should be behaving in the way that serves them. Then ultimately, you've got to have a good look at yourself and go, wow, what story am I running that has come from my family, from my background, from my learnings in life, to see that these triggers and these things that make me feel a little bit, feeling guilty, they actually need to be addressed and to be seen. So this is the perfect time with this full moon to see whether or not you're being triggered with your old stories, and have a good look at them and go, okay, these can go. But if you don't see them, you don't know that they're there. And maybe this is the time that you're going to have these stories being triggered in you so that the full moon can actually shine the light on them. Sometimes we create story that comes from family because it's kept family and then ourselves safe. And this is where the structure comes in. This is where the desire to create safety comes in for yourself. So where are you unconsciously probably responding to guilt in a guilty way towards triggers that other people want you to behave in a certain way, and it's not necessarily right for you. So I think that's a really powerful thing for all of us to be looking at. For this full moon, it goes, I think it peaks at about 2:30 this afternoon or 2:45 this afternoon. Please don't quote me. I can probably put a time up later in that when I post this, but it's around about that time. So you'll feel the energy rising and rising if it hasn't already started to. And start to see where are you unconsciously, not necessarily, not aware that there's that you're responding in a guilty way because it's making someone else uncomfortable, and then you're feeling awful for having behaved in a way that should be natural to you and should be your right to behave for yourself and for who you are as a person, and standing in your own truth and standing in your own power. So there you go. That's our first card for today. And the next card we'll draw is for Fee. And here we go. Fee has received Thunderbolt. So this card is a really powerful card, Fee, where you are being asked to witness again. So it's a perfect time. This full moon is shining a light on something that has possibly needs some attention. And it's a real lesson and a real challenge to stand and sit with being the witness at this particular point in time. And it's possibly an opportunity to witness the old parts of you that need to drop away, that haven't served you. And maybe from the previous card, guilt is a part of that old story. And if you're really being faced with them deep, heavy, challenging issues around this sort of stuff like guilt and other things that are triggering you, then have a good look at what they are, and are they things that need to be seen, to be cleared away. Perfect opportunity to do that for you now. So that's our second card for today. We also, I've just mentioned that we have another guest who's just arrived, Charlie, and I'm going to draw a card for Charlie, and we'll see what comes through. This is beautiful. So Charlie has letting go, which is really gorgeous. So if we're looking at the energy of the full moon at this point in time, and we're talking about structure, which is what Capricorn is ruled by, Saturn, which is its key energy, and also, of course, about discipline. What part of you actually needs to let go of maybe too much structure or too much control to allow a flow to happen? It's possible that you've got a little bit too much control going on in there, and letting go of that may be what is needed. And sometimes it only takes the smallest thing that you need to let go of. As you can see here in the card, the drop is falling off the leaf, and as it falls into the pond or to water, there's a natural ripple effect. So you let go of one small, tiny thing, and that ripple effect is exponential. And it doesn't just run in one direction. It's not linear. It's multi-dimensional. It goes in all directions, and it's basically ripples outwards. So it's something to think about, Charlie. Have a good look at what is going on in your world and what you possibly can let go of that enables more flow for you. And that ripple effect is so beautiful because it means you don't have to do much. It's not going to be a hard thing to let go of, or maybe it is hard to let go of, but once you actually trust that it's going to be okay, the ripple effect will be quite profound. So that's a beautiful card for Charlie there today. And since I'm here today and I'm going to draw a card for myself as well, always could do with a bit of guidance. And sometimes I'm good at listening to myself, and other times I'm garbage at it. So maybe that's what I've got to have a good look at. So, okay. So here we go. I've drawn a card for myself here. It's called Inner Vision. And I can see where if I have too much control or too much structure, then I can't allow my inner vision to show or to shine and to be, to become more potent. And that is actually something that's happening to me personally. It's been happening to me a lot lately in the last 3 to 6 months. It's been really, really powerful. And I can also see that it's possible that if I've got too much structure in there, I'm not allowing that inner vision to come through, which I've just said, so I'm repeating myself now. But what I also was getting while I was talking was that if I don't have my decent and natural structure in place that's just enough, then my inner vision can't flow, and I can see that. So putting in structure for me and putting in, basic discipline is going to be really powerful for me to allow the inner vision to continue to flow and be even more potent in the future. So I think that's a really powerful card as well. So if we come back to the collective energy, the collective vision, here's the first card. It's easy to take on guilt if someone else doesn't like what we say or do, and maybe we need to see what we're feeling guilty about. And it's really possible that we actually then become the silent witness about what it is that we're feeling guilty about, feeling so shockingly guilty about. And then the next card, actually, which is quite perfect, is letting go. And when we let go of whatever that tiny thing is that we've been feeling guilty about, then what can happen for us is our inner vision becomes more potent and becomes more powerful, because we're not listening to the external anymore. We're listening to ourselves, and there is our power. When we listen to ourselves, when we learn to listen to ourselves, we're naturally standing in a place of really deep, solid sovereignty, what I would call sovereignty. It's not about pushing against. Sovereignty is not about pushing against the structure. It's actually about understanding where the structure is within ourselves and calling in what structure we need so that we can stand in our own strength. Sovereignty means internal strength to me. So the more I come into that place, the more I understand how I'm either allowing my energy to be seeped out and I'm giving power to other environments, then, like, for example, the government and police and all the rest of it, and the doctors and, lawyers and all these people who are supposed to give us structure in our world, and we find that they're not giving us that structure. We have to come in to ourselves, create that structure within ourselves. Then we stand in our sovereignty. So we're not at the mercy of that external energy. We're drawing on our inner energy, and we're coming and using our own inner vision to truly, truly, truly trust what is happening at this particular point in time. So I just feel like that's a really potent thing for us to remember. It's really important to remember this. So having gone through all of the cards, and we have another guest here, the beautiful Rachel. So we do have time to draw a card for Rachel. So I'm going to do that now and see what else comes up, because it's always grist for the mill. Ha ha, this is perfect. I love this. So Rachel's card is success. So what's happening here when we look at the full moon and the energy of Saturn and structure is when we put that energy of structure in place, we have a natural ability, we have a natural flow of success here. And so, Rachel, what I can see for you at the moment is that, the success that you are looking to experience really does rely on and be relevant to how much structure and discipline are you putting in that's just enough for you so that you can ride the waves of success, because success comes in cycles. It's not a permanent state. It's actually something that rises and falls with the tide. So we need to remember that there's always going to be times of success, and there's going to be times of feeling not so successful, and possibly even what might feel like failure. But in actual fact, it's really the ebb and flow of a tide. So it's success in a higher degree and success in a lower degree. And when we look at this card, in alignment with all the other cards coming through, I'll just run through them again briefly. We come through the guilt situation. So where are you feeling guilty? What story are you running that is possibly someone else's story? And so if you can see that, then you need to be aware of the story that triggers your guilt. And then this is where you become the witness to that guilt and to the stories that you might be running, and recognizing that, okay, yep, I can see that I feel guilty because it's something I learned how to be when I was younger. And then, of course, the beautiful card that is related to letting go. And letting go of this is really powerful because, as I said earlier, one little thing to change can actually change the entire structure for the better, which is really powerful. And then the beautiful flow of inner vision can come through. And once we have that inner vision, we're really trusting that inner vision, we're actually, ta-da, on the path of natural success. So this is not about pushing against anything that feels uncomfortable. It's about recognizing where and how we go into story, witnessing it within ourselves, letting go of that particular story and trusting that it's safe to let go of that story because you've put the right amount of structure in, then your internal capacity to stand and see clearly for yourself gets stronger. And then, of course, you have a natural flow of success from that. So I think that's a beautiful reading for everybody today. So if anybody would like to share, I'm just going to allow you to unmute. And if you all feel that you would like to come up with a comment or anything you feel is relevant for yourself, then you are very welcome to share your thoughts. That's absolutely fine. So feel free to unmute if you want to share. So I have a message from Charlie. Charlie has said, thank you so much. She's loved that one. That's fantastic. I'm really happy to have a conversation for a few moments while everyone's online. Let's see who wants to. I'll just unmute everybody, and if someone wants to speak, they can speak. Okay, who wants to speak? I've just unmuted Charlie. Can you talk, Charlie, or not?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Welcome.
Yeah. Hello. Yeah. Maybe it might be better if I put the headphones in.
Yeah.
Anyway, I loved that one. I've been really rolling this thing over my head of what's the best action to do with this particular sticky situation that's risen its head from the past. And I wanted to work with this full moon with it and, figure out how to address this thing. And, just hearing some of the other cards as well as made me feel a lot more peaceful about this situation, that it's not this big all hellish thing.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing. That's excellent. I'm really pleased to hear that. So is anybody else would like to share? I'm just going to mute Charlie. Is anybody else like to share anything? No? Yes? I'm going to unmute the other two and see if they wish to speak. Fee, do you want to
Priscilla.
Hello.
Hi.
Hey, lovely.
Hey, thank you so much. More and more messages of, letting go of what no longer serves. It just seems to be such a prominent theme for this year.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, no, I really appreciate that. I'm in the same place, actually. I keep seeing what can be let go of and then trusting that there's a deep flow in all of that too. It's challenging sometimes, but as you said, it seems to be the theme. One of the things that I'm really aware of this year with the double one is that it's actually about self-mastery. And so the more we start to see our where we're not mastering ourselves, hence giving our power away, then we start to see it and we can action it in a really gentle way. And I think that's a really potent message for everybody as well. So thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Cool. Rachel, would you like to share anything?
Hi, how are you? Hello to everyone.
Yeah, thanks for joining today. Did you get anything? Would you want to share anything?
Yeah, this is great confirmation because all the cards that have come up in the beautiful way that you deliver the story at the end has been confirmation for me of exactly what's going on. So I've had lots of story come up around money the last couple of days and relationship also. So being aware of that, being the observer, watching it, trying not to buy into the old story that doesn't serve us anymore, and then letting it go to create space for new possibility and the energy of new design, if you will, or opening up to the new. So and some of it I've done really well and some of it I have not done very well at all, but it's nice to see this card at the end, that if we do it in this way, we'll find success in it.
Absolutely. And I think one of the things that is really important to remember for ourselves is our inner critic, and this is where I'm really keen on using this card here. I don't like to use the term failure. It's not that I don't want to, acknowledge that there can be a negative, but what is also really important is that really when we're going through life, it's not so much about our failures, because really they're just learnings, they're teachings, and so there's varying degrees of success, and sometimes it feels like the success has dropped through the floor and it doesn't feel like a success at all, but there is a success because you come out learning something about yourself, even if it might have been painful. And I think there's a powerful message for everybody that there's varying degrees of through the roof excitement success and through the floor pain of no success, or what feels like lack of success, but in actual fact there is movement forward because you've seen more than you could have seen before, and you learn through that and you move through it. So how can that not be a success of some kind? You know, I think this is it's a really good way to look at things. So yeah, thanks for sharing, Rachel. That's really cool, and I really appreciate your time. Okay, well, thank you so much, everybody. Really deeply, deeply appreciate your attendance today. And for anybody who's watching the video, if you've got any thoughts or any feelings you want to share about, you know, what you need to see and let go of, and have your own clarity around, and what you may feel is really potent in terms of your version of success, we'd love to hear about it. Please feel free to make comments either on the YouTube channel or in the Facebook thread when you see the video, or even send me a message via my website. That'd be fantastic. There's a button to connect with me underneath the video. Thank you very much, everybody. And the next reading will be in a couple of weeks' time for the, what's it going to be? It's going to be the Cancer new moon. Okay, so I haven't got the date in front of me, but it'll be about 2.5 weeks' time, and we'll speak to you all then. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you very much. Bye.